game. And I spend a lot of time online following people that are actually in the actual car market. They're not just YouTubers. And they've been talking a lot about how a lot of people took loans on during the pandemic. They probably overpaid for cars. And then as we start to go into an economic downturn, it could cause a lot of stress to their budget because they paid so much just to get the car. There's really no way that they're going to be able to maintain those payments. And that's something they've been talking about we should look out for. They've been saying this over the past year and a half. And what we're seeing is that this article from the Journal, we're saying that auto payments are late, exposing cracks in consumer credit. So borrowers with low credit scores fall behind in numbers unseen since 2010. Almost 10% of auto loans extended to people with low credit scores, with 30 or more days behind on payments at the end of last year. That's going to be the highest share since 2010. We know that the last few years have been good for consumers. They stacked a lot of money during the pandemic. But what we've seen over the past few years is inflation is eating away at those stores of money. Car prices jumped because of a shortage of vehicles. A lot of people took out big loans to get the car, and then they didn't leave a lot of room in their budget if they hit a rough patch, right? So stress in the auto loan market is concentrated among borrowers with credit scores below 660 and is especially high among people with bottom of the barrel credit. But the stress could spread if the U.S. goes into a recession that a lot of people anticipate. And what we're seeing is that share of people with outstanding subprime auto debt that is 30 or more days delinquent. It was really high during the first recession, not the first recession, but the last big recession that we had, let's say 07, 08, went down. Now we start to see a big spike, right, over the last few years. This gentleman named Chris Woodward was laid off from his software job. That's his second job loss in less than a year. He fell behind on the loan on a 2011 Ford Flex. So that's a car, let's say he bought it in 2022. That's over 10 years old. While looking for a new job, he also fell behind on rent and ran up his credit card bill, which is normal when you get put in that situation. So he bought his car in early 2022, roughly when car prices were peaking. So used car prices jumped 47% in 2021, and they fell 15% in 2022, according to the Manheim Used Vehicle Index, and we've talked about that a lot on our channel. So he bought a car that was over 10 years old, a Ford Flex in 2011. That probably should have been a cash car. I would have told him a car that old probably should be a cash car, or the loan payment should not exceed $10,000. That would have been my counsel to him because of the age of the car. It's 10 years old. And I wonder how many miles he had on it. So I would have told him either that's going to be a cash buy or it cannot exceed $10,000. And I mean, after they finance it, it can't be $10,000. It don't need to be a sticker price 10 grand and they finance it and you end up paying 15. No, it need to be 10,000 out of the door. Because the issue with a car that old, right? It's a 2011. You bought it in 2022. I guarantee you, I won't guarantee you, but I know the used car game. Most likely it's not going to be warranted. Therefore, not only are you overpaying for it, if it break down, you got to not pay to fix it. But it's more likely to break down because it's 10 years old. So unless it's 10 years old with 5,000 or 20, maybe, let's say 10 years old under 50,000 miles, it's likely to break down not only because of age, but because of wear and tear. So I wish they would have put the miles on the car. But yeah, I would have told them cash car or out of the door under 10,000. He's still stretching it with the 10 grand. But if you need a car, you need a car, right? I really wish I could do the car game heavy, but there's no market for that, man, because people want to buy what they want to buy. So you really can't make money trying to advise people on how to buy the right car. Ally Financial operates a big auto loan business. They had a lot of partnerships with Carvana. Said its loans extended between mid-2021 and mid-2022 are experiencing bigger early losses than the other loans. And so in the fourth quarter, the percentage of car loans that were more than 60 days past due rose above pre-pandemic levels for the first time. So I believe once you miss 2 payments, you got to get repoed, right? So they may be looking at the repo game now. So the repo man probably real busy right now. Nearly a fifth of banks said they eased credit standards for auto loan applicants in the first half of 2021, according to a Federal Reserve survey of senior loan officers, while more than 10th did in the second year. Many said they lowered minimum credit score requirements that year. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to take advantage of that money that was in the market. Banks don't care about people. Banks care about making money. And what we saw them do was they lowered credit standards because they want to take advantage of that money that was in the market. And what did the bank know? Well, we know we're going to repo on these dudes. So this is what people got to understand about the car game, right? Okay, so the banks sell you the car. You probably never should have got that loan in the first place. You buy the car, you overpaying for it. We're not talking about a normal environment. We're talking about you overpaying for the car. So you're paying too much for the car, but see, that's subjective. Some people don't believe you can ever overpay for a car. I do, based on the car. But if you need a car, you need a car, right? You overpay for the car based on my analysis. You miss payments 3 years in. You know what the bank gonna do? They're gonna repo the car. They're gonna get the car back, and they're gonna sell it to somebody else. They don't lose. Only way they lose if they can't get their property back. And the repo man only get paid if he get the property back. The repo man don't get paid for the work. He don't get paid for his hours. So the person that's taking all the risk in this deal is the consumer. The bank not really taking risk. They try to make it seem like, oh, you got a bad credit score. We doing you a favor by giving you the car. No, they not. Because they're gonna give you the car. Not only, so let me explain something to you. You overpaying because of the market for cars because it's a shortage. Then they're going to use your score against you or your report against you and make you pay more because essentially what we call in finance is you got a higher default risk, right? So they bake that into your underwriting for the car. That's baked into your loan, your rate, right? Your default risk is part of your rate. So that's why I wish we could do a class. And this is why I say that we got a lot of experts that still don't teach our people properly. Because in your underwriting is your default risk. That's part of the rate that you're paying to get the capital. So what happens is you got low credit. So let's look at this chart real quick, right? So we have 300 to 529. Okay, so that's the dark blue. That's this line right here. Okay, so you coming in with that credit score, right? That subprime delinquency rate. So we see the rate is going up. It dropped off, right? Went up a little bit, 07, 08. Traded flat, and now it's starting to move up. So you come in with that credit score. They make it seem like they're doing you a favor. Well, first off, we in a high car market where cars are very expensive. So you're going to pay that off the gate because everybody got to pay that. Then what they're going to say is, well, you know what? Because of your numbers, we're going to use that against you, and we're going to bake into your underwriting that you're at a higher risk to default, so you got to pay more now to get the car. Right? They sell you the car. You're paying more just to drive this car around. It's not your property. It belongs to the bank. You're paying to drive it. Something happened to you. You can't pay for it anymore. They go tell the repo man, we'll pay you X amount of money if you go get our property back. He only get paid if he actually gets the property back. So he's motivated to go get the property back. He go get the car back, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, they towed up out your apartment complex. He get it back to the bank. And you know what the bank can do? They go get that car detailed. They put it right back out there in the market and they keep getting money off that piece of property. That's the game. This is why I try to really educate people, especially women who a lot of times don't know no better. You should never, ever overpay for a car. But it's subjective. It's a subject because all the risk is on you when you overpay. It's never on the bank. The bank is not doing you a favor. They helping you out because you need a vehicle, but they're not doing you a favor. All the risk is on you. Because you can also, if you got bad credit, there's insurance against you defaulting on the loan. They'll make you pay that too. But let me explain something to you. If the loan wasn't insured on their side, they would never give you the loan. See, that's the part of the finance game they don't teach you. So let me explain something to you. The bank's loans are insured on their side. They got their own insurance. Then they make you insure again against you not paying. So you now got to pay that insurance. So they insured on both sides of the deal. They insured on their side because that's part of them doing their business. Then they make you insure this individual situation because they can say, hey, based on your credit score, we won't sell you the loan unless you pay for the insurance. They may tell you that up front, or they may also bake that into the actual loan agreement, but you don't know it because you haven't really read your whole contract. So you don't even know you're paying for insurance. So then what happens is, if you default and they can never get the property back, you know what they do? They go to the insurer and go get money back on the car behind that. See what I'm saying? So if you default and you just disappear with the car, they go to the insurer, they get the money back for the car, right? So now they got their money back. They only gonna get face value though, but at least they're gonna get some money off the car. And then they go and take that money and they put that right back on their account. Or if you just default and disappear, they can write it off as a loss. You understand me? So like I said before, is that the consumer is on the hook. That's why I always encourage people, never, ever, ever overpay for a car. But that's subjective, right? What I call overpaying, you might not call overpaying. But this guy, in this particular scenario, who bought a 2011 right, Ford Flex in 2022, I would have told him, man, cash car or under 10 grand out the door. And just keep going around the city till somebody can work that deal for you. Cash car, you got cash to pay for it, or out of the door for 10,000. Not 10,000 plus they got to finance it. No, we walking out the door with 10 grand. 10 grand or less out of the door. And anytime I buy a car, I say, what's the out of the door price? Not what you trying to add onto it. What is the out of the door price? That's all I want. Don't give me no other price but that, because they'll give you a price and then they get you in that room and they start trying to put this and that on top of it. We're not doing that, bro. Right? I asked for the out of the door price. So that's the car game, right? So what we're going to do is continue to observe and let's see where this goes as we start to go further and further to the future. That's why I'm really enthusiastic about like how CarMax reports. There's a lot of other publicly traded companies that sell car loans. They finance cars. How did their books look as we start to go into the future? Because if we go into a recession, most people are not going to be able to pay for their car because they overpay for it to get it. Because in 2022, people was telling people, if you got a used car, you're better off selling it to a lot, right? If you got an extra used car, then you are buying a car because the cars are so expensive because of the chip shortage. And that's what we want to keep looking at. So hope you got some value from it. David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. I'll talk to you later.